want you to take a brief moment to think about someone that you love more than anyone else in this world. Now, that someone has been told they need a new liver. There is nothing you can do to help besides be with them while they wait and hope that a new liver comes their way in a small amount of time that they have to wait. Probably for one of the first times in your life, you start to think about how important and life-changing just one organ transplant can be. Just one liver donated, and you will have more time to spend with your loved one. If just one person signed the back of their driver's license or made their family aware of the fact that they wanted to be an organ donor, then your loved one could be saved. That is why more people need to be educated on what exactly organ transplants and donations are. Organ transplants are something that has been performed for several years and is now a procedure that doctors perform often. The first successful kidney transplant operation was performed in 1954 at Boston's Peter Bennett Birmingham Hospital and involved the transfer of a kidney from one identical twin to another. In 1962, the same hospital also saw the first successful transplant of a kidney taken from a cadaver. In 1967, the first successful liver transplant was performed by Starzl at the University of Colorado. As you can see, this became a more normal procedure as time moved on. In 1969, a pancreas was transplanted at the University of Minnesota, and in 1981, the first heart-lung transplant took place at Stanford University. In 1984, a heart-liver transplant was successfully performed by the Starzl and a team at the Pittsburgh Medical Center. There are many different types of organ transplants. The most common was living transplants, where you are alive but transplant or give an organ to someone who is in need of an organ. This is usually only done whenever you can give an organ that is not necessarily important or necessary for you to keep on living. Most parents were the most common group of living donors in 1999, but decreased by nearly half to 20% of all donors in 2008. As a result, offspring were the most common. Another type of organ donation is deceased donation. This donation usually happens after someone is deceased. The number of deceased donors increased between 1999 and 2007. Availability of transplanted organs over the past 5 years has declined. Living kidney, liver, and lung donations declined from 2004 to 2008. Living liver donors in 2008 dropped to less than 50% in the peak of 2011. More than 110,000 Americans are on organ transplant waiting lists, and demand for kidneys, lungs, hearts, and other donated organs far exceeds the supply. Just think, if one person was aware of what organ donation was and what living transplants were and just knew more about the subject, then maybe these people and this list could be cut in half or just gone completely. 80% of those waiting for organs need kidney. 80% of those waiting for organs and need kidneys in part because of rising incidence of obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. This is something that could happen to anyone. A liver transplant or a kidney transplant or any type of transplant might not be something that you've done. You could just be born with a bad liver or a bad kidney, but sometimes it is from things that you've done. Maybe how you eat, your choice of if you drink a lot, or just many different things can play a huge role in the fact if you could need a organ transplant. Deceased donors and living donor donations were both more common in 2008 than they were in 1999, but less common than they were in 2007. As you have seen, there is a lot of information about organ transplants, and hopefully I was able to provide you more details about transplants. As you have hopefully seen from this speech, the world is in need of more organs. There are unfortunately more people who cannot receive the life-saving organ that they need. Unfortunately, the donation of organs has not kept pace with the rising demand. I hope I was able to help you better understand organ transplant and provide you with more knowledge than you had before about the origination of transplants, the different kinds of transplants, and just how life-changing and transplants can be, not only for yourself, but maybe for a loved one you care about. Thank you. Okay, this is my one-on-one, I guess, with myself to tell about what I need help with, what my strengths and weaknesses are. I think that my biggest weakness is I don't know how to give statistics and facts without sounding like repetitive and without like just listing facts, like how to add more to it to where it actually doesn't just sound like I'm just telling you fact after fact after fact. That's hard for me to figure out exactly what I need to say, I guess. How to give the information, I guess. Another thing that I think is a weakness for me is I get really, really nervous, even when I'm just speaking to my camera. Like my other presentations, I've done like 3 or 4 takes, probably more than that, on just my introduction of myself, which I feel like I shouldn't be that nervous. So I feel like whenever I get in front of an audience, I'm gonna stumble and mess up more than I would with just performing it in front of a camera. Um, a strength I have is I feel like I have a personal connection with this topic, so I feel like that's a strength because it is something I care about. So I can portray, more emotions to it and portray more of like why it's important because of why it was so important to me and my family. Um, I know that I could probably use a little bit more like length on the video, make it a little bit longer. I might need to do a little bit more research um, on the topic. I've had other papers I've wrote, so that's where I got a lot of my information from, but maybe do a little bit more outside of the things I've already wrote and looked into. Um, and I would say another strength would be probably just keeping, I mean, I guess a strength, really a weakness is keeping my hands. I'm a very, like, I talk with my hands a lot. So I feel like I need to learn how to not talk with my hands, but I feel like that's also a strength I've been doing because I feel like when I've given my speech, I haven't been talking with my hands as much, except for like right now. But I think that's about it.